Show with Rashaad and Destin, brought to you by Horseshoe Huddle, Fan Nation, Sports Illustrated. Man, we got a fun episode, man. We got a fun episode. Our first draft prospect interview, starting off with somebody very special. I'm sure most of you all know who it is by now. But before I get a chance to introduce them, Destin, how you doing?
Good, man. I mean, the off season's in full motion. I feel like we were waiting for moves. We were waiting for things to start. The draft is still a month away. Like we were in that lull period. Well, everybody wants to make moves, but nobody can. It's been guns a blazing in the NFL since March 15th, though. Like we've been running it all day today. So it's been good to have some stuff going. But I'm excited to talk the draft. I mean, this is where we started, Rashad.
Exactly, man. And the free agency stuff got to take a back seat right now because we got a very special guest, man. This guest is a young man that attended South Alabama, completely lit it up. And since the postseason through the draft process, his name has been buzzing, rising up a lot of teams' draft boards. Talked to a couple of draft guys who just said his stock has just rose with the combine and the Senior Bowl performance. Wide receiver from South Alabama, Jalen Wayne. Jalen, how you doing, man?
Yo, what's good? I'm doing fine. How about yourselves?
We're
I'm
good,
pretty good,
man.
man.
I say
Pretty
we're
good.
good. Excited to have you on.
Yeah, excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man, Jalen. This conversation is gonna go a lot different from the one we had before the show. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. We had a real fun conversation with Jalen before the show. That y'all just won't be privy to hear that one. First question I got for you though, man. It's something I found interesting was that you didn't even play football in high school. You know, you was a hooper. Can you explain to me like how the transition from basketball to football was for you, and how you even got into football?
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, I was a big basketball dude from like 6th grade, like 11th grade. So like every based off basketball, just like, being a shooter, being a scorer. I was like a point guard and all that throughout the whole
Okay.
process. But yeah, I went to a bunch of state championships at my high school that I was playing at. And then like it was just one day my 11th grade year, junior year, I was in Bible class, and my teacher and a couple of my friends just kind of sat me down and just told me, hey man, like there's not a lot of 6'1" guards out here making, 40-50 million dollars. So best bet for you right now is to go be like your uncle and take a chance and, go do something with the ability on the field. So I just went out at spring practice that semester and tried it out, and I guess I'm here now.
That's crazy.
So you threw it up there. You threw it up there. Your uncle,
Yeah.
somebody the Indianapolis fan base may know of, one Reggie Wayne. So let everybody know a little bit exactly your relation to Reggie Wayne. So Reggie Wayne is your uncle, correct?
Yeah. Well, he's really my cousin, but just because he's older than me, like a lot older, I call him my uncle and all that.
Yeah, I said those old heads. You can't be calling them cousin. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I can't
Nah.
call him cousin.
So like
He's
what is that relationship with Reggie been like for you? Like having somebody in your life that has made it and had a very successful career at the pro level. So like how is it having that person in your life that you can kind of look at and say, yeah, he did it?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, it kind of hits other people differently than it hits me, because like what we was talking about before the show, like I didn't really talk to him much because of me being a big basketball guy. So like when I did start playing football in college, and I was making plays and both kind of reached out to each other. It's been great since then. It was more of a phone to phone connection at first. He'll call me, text me, and teach me drills through the phone and just stuff to work on my game with and get me better. But as college went on and I got these after college opportunities, like going to the combine, I met him at the combine, like out there warming up. So it was pretty cool, pretty surreal feeling, meeting him in his own building and all that.
Did you have to let him know that you thought you were faster than him even in his prime? Did you have to let him know?
Yeah, for sure. I've been telling him that though. I told him that like when we first started talking.
Yeah, man. Something that speaking of combine, while we talking about it, and we going all out of order, but whatever, we're just shooting it. Um, with your size, I thought that if you ran, a pretty decent time in the 4.5s, that you know that would be definitely enough to improve your skills because you have the big body. You're 6'2". You know, you got pretty good height. You got really good size. So if you ran a time like 4.5, then you end up running 4.51, if I'm not mistaken, close to 4.4. Was that the ideal time you were shooting for, or you had been training for, or what was that like?
Nah, I was going into the combine thinking 4.4, like low 4.4. But
Really?
I remember when I finished the first rep, my uncle was the first one that came to me. He immediately was like 4.51. And I was a little frustrated. I was a little, shook up because I ain't know why, you know what I mean? But I just kind of went back out there and just did the whole technique, tried to drive out a little bit harder. And then, it just came with the same time again. But I'm not no dude that's going to get too, down on myself. So it didn't really bother me.
Is South Alabama having a pro day that you'll be able to run it again?
Yeah, for sure. It'll be next Monday on the 20th.
So call your shot now. What is Jalen Wayne running next Monday?
Oh, well, my agent told me he don't want me to run it again. He said
That's
everybody.
good. There it is.
Yeah, he said everybody liked the 4.5, even though I didn't like it personally.
Yeah, at that size though, like that's a good time for that size. Like,
Yeah,
sure.
he been telling me that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the 4.51 at that size is nice. I mean, the big part of that, and it kind of goes into my next question. So you being that 6'2" body, a lot of people are putting you in the conversation to play on the outside, play on the inside. You could be that big Y receiver. You could possibly be that Z and take the top off. But one of the biggest things about you is like that run after catch ability that you had and showed off in college.
Mm-hmm.
So what role do you see yourself at the next level? Like, do you think you're better in the inside in the pros? Do you think you're better on the outside?
Yeah, I always like to call my game just, being accommodating to whatever offense or whatever scheme that I'm playing in. So, like, if a coach wants, feels like my fit is, in the slot and running a cross route and running between the hashes and making those plays, and I've shown that I can do that. And I've also shown that I can play boundary and outside wide out too and blow the top off. So, like, I feel like I'm in a good position to play either of those three. But if it was my preference, I probably want to start out in the slot just to get my feet wet. It ain't easy going out there and getting that one-on-one coverage with some of these top DBs. So I'll probably warm up in the slot first.
Yeah, something I like about you when showing the versatility is your ability to change speeds while you within your routes. Like the way you set guys up. That's the stuff I look for because that's the stuff that's translatable. It works at the next level, changing speed, starting off a bit slower, picking up speed, selling a slant to the outside first before you break it back in. You have all those things in your repertoire. And is Reggie somebody that helps you with route running and telling you different things, giving you different tips on how to run your routes?
Yeah, for sure. I think a little bit of it is genetics, just because I feel like it's in the family, but also like the stuff that he would tell me to do back in the day, like 2-3 years ago, he kind of just switched out my workout regimen and like just made me start working out totally different as far as routes went. Like I was probably doing it terrible before he got into it, but he was just showing me the right type of cone drills and the right type of players to watch as far as like dudes you looking up on YouTube and all that. So he was just teaching me what guys run real routes and who don't. So after that, that's when I started to kind of know how to stop and start and manipulate guys with my eyes and with my speeds, like what you're talking about. So when all that started to happen, the game kind of got a lot easier.
So you're saying that Reggie's already been coaching you a little bit throughout. So it wouldn't even be a thing going to making it where he's your receiver coach if you went to the Colts.
For sure. I feel like I would definitely fit in with him just because we've been talking for so long.
I think he will coach you a lot harder than he coaches other players. I'm telling you, man.
He was coaching me at the combine.
See? Yeah. It's gonna be pretty tough on you, man.
Yeah, for sure. He was tough on me at the combine. We had a little warm-up go ball drill, and I had the dude overthrew me, but like he was like, you don't need to drop nothing, like you need to catch everything. And I was like, man, he overthrew it. He was like, shut up, like go ahead and get back in line. I was like, all right.
That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. Something I wanted to ask you about. Just the Senior Bowl experience. Like, how was that? I know, people may knock South Alabama, say they don't play top-notch competition all the time, a full schedule of that. Even though, we saw games where you played against, bigger name schools and you performed really well, but they always knock guys that go to school like that, saying, can they compete down in and down out against some of the top talent? How you feel like you did at the Senior Bowl?
I feel like I did pretty well. I feel like I rose my stock a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in those practice days, just showing that I can play different positions. They switched my position from outside to slot midweek, so just showing that I could do that and learn, those NFL plays on the fly. And then just the stuff I did out on the field, I got down deep. I was running by guys, and I was also getting PI calls. So I just felt like I was just showing versatility, showing route running, and that guy's gonna have to hold me in order to stop me.
For sure.
Which, I mean, the Senior Bowl week, we saw a lot of good one-on-ones between the receivers and DBs. Was there a DB that gave it to you the best while you were out there?
I've been telling everybody this, but the Kansas State corner, I think his last name Julius
Brents.
Yeah, the chat's about to blow up for you saying that.
Yeah, I went with him one time on a go ball, and like no dude at my level has ever ran with me like on a go ball. So like when he did it, he like jammed me, flipped his hips, and matched my like strides. I was like, okay, I gotta go with him for the rest of the week. So every time he went up, I had to make sure I went with him. So definitely him.
That's dope, man.
Julius Brents is an Indiana native.
For real?
Yeah, he's from Indy.
Graduated from Warren Central, which is just a little bit outside of Indy. So born and raised Hoosier a little bit there. So you're preaching to fans right now. You're getting that. You're getting the reactions. We planted that information before the show, guys. But so one of the questions that they put a little bit here in the chat. Who do you see yourself as a comparison at the next level? Who you're not related to?
Not related to. I feel like, downfield, I always used to watch Stephon Diggs manipulate safeties and corners downfield on deep routes. So, like, I like to use that example when I'm talking about deep threat and all that. But his short and intermediate routes are just, second to none. So I can't really say that. But on short routes and stuff, I feel like I'm just like a big body receiver, kind of like Chase Claypool, like all those sort of guys, that just use their size to get open. But downfield, I like to manipulate guys like Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, something I wanted to ask you about was, do you look at those go ball, those contested catch opportunities? Do you look at it kind of like basketball with your basketball background?
Definitely.
Like going up in traffic and getting, it's like grabbing a board almost. I used to play ball too, basketball, not football.
For sure.
I was
that's literally what it feels like to me, especially when the quarterback throws it up with that perfect little air under it. Yeah, and you got time to set up, but yeah, it feels just like a rebound. I just turn around and get a board, and it turns into a big play. But yeah, definitely downfield. I just turn into basketball and just try to be more athletic.
Yeah, because I think before this last year at South Alabama, on your tape, like you showed a lot in the short area, for screens, hitches, things like that, and even in the intermediate. But I think this last season you unlocked that deep part of your game, like you really opened your game up. And do you feel the same way, or do you think you've been like a deep threat?
No, definitely agree with you. I didn't get my first little 40, 50-yard touchdown to this last season.
Yeah,
but I don't discredit nobody for that. I know my time had to come. So when the opportunity came, I had a hell of a quarterback, Carter Bradley, this past year. He's also a relative of a coach. Staff member, Gus Bradley, I think his name is.
Yes,
so yeah, that's his son. So we got a good connection, and he threw me a bunch of moon balls this past year, and I just had to run underneath them.
I'm not gonna lie, you got way too many ties to the Colts, dog. I mean,
it's all just adding up, just puzzle pieces over here.
I didn't know all that, man.
We're talking about the Colts a little bit, and if we don't ask you this question, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but if I don't ask you it, everyone's gonna get mad at us. So, what kind of communication have you had with the Colts, including with Reggie this draft process? Has there been much interest from either side?
Yeah, I haven't had a meeting or interview with actual staff members and all that, other than my uncle. But he's just been phone to phone, just text messages, just talking ball. And I believe having Coach Brian as my receiver coach at the Senior Bowl was kind of a big thing too, because I feel like they probably got a lot of their interview process off that situation with me and him working together. So I never did an interview with them, but I feel like it's just a mutual understanding that they got interest and I got interest as well.
If it makes you feel better, the Colts in years past have liked to use those top 30 visits and all these other things. Little bit as like a decoy type thing. Like
Mhm.
their draft rate for top 30 visits is very little. Like they've barely drafted any of the guys that they've brought in for top 30 visits.
So
Yeah,
you mean
so
like they probably draft guys that they never even interview, kind of like me then?
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, you probably, I mean, Reggie Wayne. We've talked about him a little bit today. Like he's said multiple times that during his draft process, he had good conversations with 31 of the 32 teams, and the team that drafted him was the team that he had barely any conversation with, and it was the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Like, and Reggie, man, just like a quick note about Reggie. Like Reggie's the same age as my older brother, and my older brother played ball too, played football in the city. Reggie, the way he talk about Reggie, though, it's like almost like a myth. Something you just like. I never seen him play in high school. Of course, I was too young. But man, Reggie shattered every record. He was destroying people, bro. I'm talking 200 yards, 250, 225. So you got big shoes to fill, bro.
Yeah,
Because
for
he
sure.
he was crazy, man.
I
Like,
was talking my one of my older friends. He plays for the Saints right now. Kawan Baker. He got drafted like 2 years ago, but he came last year to the Senior Bowl to watch Jalen Tolbert.
oh, okay.
That drafted by the Cowboys, but his receiver coach was at the stadium, and I went up and talked to him, and apparently he had coached my uncle too. And he was like, "Yeah, man. One thing about your uncle, man, it don't matter where you throw the football, like he's gonna catch it." He was like, seriously, like I've seen him catch it with like 2 fingers one time, and I was just like, man, everybody be making a myth up about this dude.
I'm telling you, man, it's real, bro. Like in the city, just walking around, and people talk about some of the greatest, high school players in New Orleans history. Like his name always come up, bro. Like always. And it's been a lot of great people that played. I mean, hell, Peyton Manning from here.
Yeah,
Marshall Falk, Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, whole bunch of Colts. Like that's how I became a Colts fan. How I got into the Colts. Just because they had so much connection, so many ties to like New Orleans, Louisiana period,
yeah.
and it was real easy for me to be a Colts fan. And Reggie's a big part of that, man. Like he's an absolute legend. We waiting for him to get in the Hall of Fame. I think personally he got jerked last this past year.
Yeah, he done got snubbed like twice.
Yeah, like it's crazy, man.
They could have put Peyton, Edge, and Reggie all in together. It was just a perfect timing. But they just decided not to let the storybooks go. But back to a little bit of your game.
Right.
So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. That run after catch ability, it pops on film. But then this last year, we got to see a little bit of that moon ball action. So for you, like as a receiver, which feels better when you catch that deep ball, or you get the ball under space and you get to kind of create something out of nothing?
Well, honestly, to be honest, I haven't played football long enough to actually have gotten put in situations like that. Like, so like basically what y'all saying about my film, like, before this past year, I was short yardage, intermediate route guy. But like I never was really in a position that I got a pass that I could make moves after the catch. I was usually either scoring a touchdown this season or like, getting tackled as soon as I caught it. So like I won't say that I don't have after run after the catch ability. I just ain't never had no opportunity to show it yet. But I feel like that's one thing I'm gonna have to definitely work on just to make sure that I could do it if I do get the opportunity in the league. But I feel like that's probably the one weakest part of my game just because I didn't get to show that though.
Something I like about your game that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, and that's your blocking ability. I think you one of the receivers that like to get your nose dirty, bro. Like you go in there, you like to block, man. Like you like to open up holes for your running back. Talk a little bit about that, man.
I got like 4 or 5 big cousins, and they used to beat me up when I was little, and I have vowed to myself I was gonna hit the weight room. And even when I was playing basketball, I was gonna hit the weight room so they couldn't beat me up no more.
You have to.
But like when I started playing football and I like realized, we can actually like hit people for fun. Like this is the part of the game. So I always like blocking and knocking the dude head off if I had that opportunity. And when I got to college, it was just like, the guys in my conference and the guys in my group level of football, like they don't really like having a receiver come up and meet them in the hole like that. So I just feel like, I could show that on my film that I don't really shy away from no contact. But I really do welcome it, though. I do like putting my nose in there.
Yeah.
Hey, that's always something we like to see. So when you made the transition from basketball to football, and obviously you have the relationship to an all-time great receiver, like was it always like, okay, if I'm playing football, I'm going to be a receiver? Or was there ever any thought in your head of playing any other position?
No, I knew I was gonna be a receiver when I switched over my senior year, and then I transferred to this real big high school, big football high school across the bay called Spanish Fort, and I played
Hmm.
receiver and running back that year, just because I didn't have enough experience and enough like route work, and I wasn't manipulating DBs back then. I was just being more athletic people. So he put me at running back some games, but I knew I was gonna play receiver though.
Yeah, Carter Bradley, man. When he came from Toledo, a guy with a big arm. Did he do a lot to help you? Did he help your game as much as I think you guys kind of benefited each other? Actually, when I look at it, you guys really brought out the best in each other. And
Mhm.
and can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I always tell everybody Carter Bradley's like best quarterback my university is ever going to see, and he just works hard. He hits football differently. You can tell that his dad is a DC in the NFL as soon as
Mm,
you meet him because all he wants to talk about, all he pertains to is football. If it ain't got nothing to do with football, he
yeah.
don't really care about it. So, first day we did Ross on there, he called us all up as a group, and new quarterbacks they usually don't do that till they real warmed up and all that. But he was first day in our faces telling us, yo, this is how stuff's gonna go. We're gonna do this. We gotta all show up here on time. Boom, boom, boom. And then when the season started, we had built such a good relationship to where like what y'all seen on film is kind of what y'all saying.
Yeah.
Like it was just being better for both parties. And he's just a hell of a quarterback. Like I really can't say much else other than that. He's just gonna put it wherever it's supposed to be at.
Hey, I mean, it's always good when you can get a little bit of an upgrade at quarterback like that, especially during like your last season there. So for you, I mean, we've talked about the Senior Bowl a little bit. How was it like the combine? Like, I've always tried to like compare it to other things in life,
Mhm.
like football, but the combine's always weird because I mean, is it like a job fair? Like I don't like you never know what to compare it to. I mean,
I,
it's like a talent evaluation type period. Like how was it for you going through that?
Yeah, definitely the weirdest week of my life.
Yeah.
It was so many doctor exams. Like I did like 8
Uh,
MRIs and like 5 of them was on stuff that like my body's not even hurt no more. But like other than the doctor exams and the actual like drill work and all that, I don't think it's really nothing that you can like do to fully prepare yourself for like how silent that whole stadium is. Cause like you see 70,000 seats, but if it sounds like nobody's in there. So like ain't no music,
yeah.
ain't no coaching, ain't no whistles, it's just drill work. And like I didn't really feel like it was gonna be like that. But that's one thing that did surprise me. But other than that, like it was a bunch of fun. Like when we started running routes and doing all the other stuff after the 40, the coaches got into it. So it was a lot more fun, a lot more talkative.
Hey,
Yeah.
believe it or not, the combine used to have no fans, so like it used to be even quieter.
Man, it was quiet and it was like a little section with like 5,000 people. You wouldn't even know they was there. Like they would clap, but it wasn't much like applaud and all
Little
that.
golf claps.
Yeah, it was like a little golf course game or whatever you call it.
Yeah, man. The Senior Bowl is a little different because they got the DJ, the music playing. You're on the field, pretty much doing what you normally would be doing, at practice or warming up for a game. It's typically that. The
Mm-hmm.
combine is just like, it's quiet. Everybody's in there waiting on somebody to either mess up or make a big play. One or
Yeah,
the other.
yeah.
But something I wanted to ask you. Wh- what is the team getting if they draft Jalen Wayne?
Yeah. So like one thing I made sure I just told every team is that like I'm a low maintenance guy, but I'm a high performance guy as well. And, you're just gonna get a guy that's the same dude every single day. Don't doesn't come into the building trying to get everybody to see him and be the face of the program. Like he's just a guy that's gonna come in and work and do his job, whatever job that's set out for him to be. And he ain't got no pride with it. So if he got to block all day, he'll block all day. If I gotta ask him to catch all day, he'll catch all day. But he's gonna always do what I ask him to do.
Uh, Great answer. It's a great answer.
So we
You
got
see
a
that
question.
question? That
So we
question,
got a
Destin?
question. Yeah, we got a question there from the fans a little bit. Colts loyalist 56. Which is a better feeling, blowing the doors off a defender, so on a block, or mossing someone?
Ooh. uh, mm, I gotta say, blocking somebody, like if you really pancake a dude as a receiver, because I done pancake some linebackers and like,
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah, like I done came in and like cracked back some linebackers before, and like that feeling there, like I felt like I can be in the box, like you know what I'm saying. I can pass protect for the quarterback if they needed me to. But like mossing people, like it just feels so much like rebounding the basketball. So I get a good feeling, but like I done did that a lot in my career, so I kind of gotten used to it.
Hey, the Colts struggled in pass protection last year, so we're filling two holes with one draft pick here.
For sure.
Yeah, man. My last question that I have written down here. What kind of hooper was you, man? Did you get buckets? You was a distributor or you was a
Nah, I
scorer?
pass the ball.
Hey, I'm gonna go dig up your highlights, so don't
You
lie
can
to
dig
me,
it up.
man.
That's one thing that I made sure I put out. I
So
can
we got to find his huddle film.
Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
look that up. You go look that up. I can play though. I was the #1 combo guard in Alabama.
Seriously?
Yeah. I
I
got
didn't know
ranked.
that.
I came out 2017, but I ended up playing on a bunch of big AAU teams, and I averaged like 27 my last AAU season, and they had put me at
Word.
#1. But yeah, I can play a little basketball though. I don't like to brag too much though.
You still hoop?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right, so
That's
my
what's up.
last question, then we'll kind of send you out. So, I mean, you've done it. You got to play college ball. I mean, you've done it. You got invited to the combine. You've done it. You're gonna be a draft prospect, most likely someone who's going to be drafted. We've seen your stock ascend. So, like, what is it that you're looking forward to the most at the next level? Like, what is it that's like fueling that fire in
Mhm.
Jalen Wayne to succeed at the next level?
Yeah, I'm just a dude that just likes challenges, and I know that every time you move up a level, you get put at the bottom of the totem pole again. So, I'm just going into whatever team that calls my name, knowing that I got to work, but it's exciting, getting to start at that bottom again. Like being at the top of the food chain in college, like yeah, it's fun, but it's just something different about climbing up that mountain and beating guys, taking guys' names. So I'm just ready to go back and start up as a freshman again or a rookie, and just get that whole experience going. But just coming in and adding a piece to the team that's going to be valuable and needed down the line.
Hey, man. I just want to thank you, man, for coming up and pulling up with us and kicking it. Not giving us any time restrictions, letting the fans ask what they want to ask, letting us ask what we want to ask, and answering the questions straight up, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all for the opportunity.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be hitting you
anytime.
up looking for that basketball film, man.
Hey,
For
we're
sure,
finding
it's on
them.
there. It's on there. I promise.
I'm finna
Jalen,
DM you right now.
I'm gonna show him how to find huddle film. All right, and we're gonna get it. It's gonna be so easy to find, and then we'll have to do a film breakdown once you're drafted by the Colts.
Say
But we're
no
not gonna
more.
do a film breakdown on your football game. We're gonna break down the hoops game. We're gonna go deep in there.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, really, like Rashaad said, we really appreciate you coming on, man. Best of luck the rest of the draft process. Obviously, we're a little biased. We'd love to see you wear the horseshoe after this draft process is over. But super excited to watch wherever you go next. And you got a fan in me, no matter where it is.
Appreciate y'all for real, man. Like y'all having me on this is crazy. This whole experience been crazy, but just appreciate y'all for giving me this opportunity. Let me come talk.
Hey, yeah, man. Y'all go follow my man at Master Zero Wayne on Twitter. We're gonna blow his Twitter up until we manifested it and he become a coach, man. We're gonna put that into the universe right now.
Well, all right, man. See you later.
See y'all.
Well, everybody, that was Jalen Wayne, receiver out of South Alabama, and the nephew or cousin, depending on who you want to ask, of
Yeah, it's
Reggie Wayne or Coach Wayne, depending on who you want to talk to.
Hey, man, future Hall of Famer Reggie Wayne at that.
Future Hall of Famer Jalen Wayne, is that what you said?
You're right. So let's get to it, Destin. We have other business that we have to attend to. Free agency started. Well, free agency started today, but the legal tampering period started.
Before we even talk about moves, can we talk about how dumb legal tampering is?
It's
what's
absolutely
the point?
the dumbest thing in the world.
Legal tampering starts at the combine.
Right,
Do you understand
exactly.
how many teams are talking trades and ish at the combine? Like, this is stupid. What what
It
what what
is
is the point of this?
like legal tampering. It's an oxymoron within itself. But it started on
It,
Monday.
whatever it is, it started.
Right, yeah. We're just gonna identify it as it. It started Monday, and the Colts were fairly quiet Monday for the majority of Monday until the nightfall came, and they made a signing. They they signed a kicker to the highest paid free agency contract in NFL history. What was your thoughts when you saw the move? How did you feel about it? What went through your head when you saw Matt Gay signing?
I mean, I think what everyone went through their head was like, man, like we loved Chase last year. He's a homegrown product. But I mean, I think people just don't understand. Like Matt Gay is like a proven commodity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's holes on this team, but special teams is not going to be one of them. I mean, Roberto Sanchez, when he's healthy, is known to be one of the best punters in the league. When Matt Gay's on the field, he's one of the best kickers in the league. Luke Rhodes,
Hmm.
by his peers, has been voted to the Pro Bowl multiple times because he's viewed as one of the best long snappers in the league. We're going to get to it later, but the Colts brought back Ashton Doolin today, who's looked at as one of the best gunners in the league. I mean, they're setting Brian Mason up nice for his first special teams job in the NFL.
Yeah, man, you can't ask for much more than that, right? The Colts finally decided to get off the kicker carousel that they've been on since Adam Vinatieri was here. Uh, I want to
So
mention.
you did
Wait, what you
ask
got?
though. You did ask like what my thought process was like when that signing happened.
Hmm.
So I have like something just like to throw on the screen that'll show it a little better.
Okay, go
That
ahead.
I thought I would do. I tweeted this out, so some people may have saw it. But this is literally what went through my mind when that was announced. Chris
Chris,
Ballard must have saw all those bargain bin Ballard jokes and called Matt Gay's line ready to prove a point. He took
and I
that
took that
personally.
personally.
And I want you guys to know, not 100%. I made this. This meme created by the Destin Adams. If you need your memes, hit me up in the DMs. It's a side gig I'm doing now. Meme creation. I'm a little.
I didn't even know you was doing this. How you making an announcement to the world, and I'm finding out with the world? Like, what is going on?
Hey, sometimes you just got to keep it in your own bag, you know.
Yeah, I tweeted earlier. I reached out to Matt Gay, and he hit me back. He said he was stoked to be in Indy. He loved the time that he was here, even though it was short a couple of years ago. But he said, but he's happy to be back and he's ready to
On
get to
the
work.
on the practice squad, right?
Yes, he was on the practice squad for 2020, and
There's been a lot of kickers that have gone through Indy as a practice squad guy that are starters now. Like Jake Elliott in Philadelphia, he was a practice squad guy here for a little bit behind Vinny. Um, is it Cody Parkey? Cody Parkey, who
yeah,
was known
yeah,
for the double doink for Chicago, was a practice squad kicker. And then I mean, that practice squad kicker job, it just sends boys places, apparently.
yeah. So other free agency moves that was notable. The Colts lost Bobby Okereke. That was a pretty big blow to the Giants.
On a
How
scale of 1 to 10, how shocked were you that he wasn't Chicago?
You literally took the question right out of my
Oh,
microphone.
we finish each other's.
Yeah, like I literally was about to ask you that,
He
and
was supposed to say sentences, guys. He just didn't do it. That was gonna be a beautiful moment. Rashaad ruined it.
I did. But I'm definitely gonna go with a 9. I know for a fact that Eberflus was, heavily interested, but they decided to go with somebody that they felt like had a bit more, upside, betting on the physical profile of a guy like Tremaine Edmonds, who's a little bit younger than Bobby as well, and I don't know if that was the rise move they made. They gave him 4 years, $72 million when
They
Bobby signed
they
4 year,
paid that man.
44. Yeah,
They
Bobby signed
paid
4
that
year,
man.
44. I think that
Hey,
Bobby has much better value than Tremaine
I
Edmonds,
am
but
I am not at liberty to share contract numbers, but what I will tell you is when there was interest from Chicago and Bobby would have gotten a heftier contract than what he got from the Giants. I think Bobby was just as shocked. So that's what I'll say. That they
mhm,
ended up going that route. I think it came together very fast. Tremaine Edmonds has very crazy size for that position at the middle, and they just kind of decided to go that route.
mhm.
But Yeah, Bobby only getting what he got from the Giants. I was kind of shocked it wasn't a little more. But the Giants were a team that I was told to watch for. The Bears. I was told the Bills were a team that could potentially be in on Bobby. They didn't know how much that number they would go high enough to. But
Hmm.
with them knowing and pretty much knowing that Tremaine Edmonds was leaving, Bobby was a name they kind of looked at a little bit as a potential placement there.
Yeah, because I heard the Bills also had interest in Levante David, who earlier today just decided to go back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1 year deal.
Tampa's
So,
running it back with Baker. They're going
oh
to run the
god,
whole roster back, and they're bringing Baker Mayfield in.
I think it's hilarious that Baker Mayfield is replacing Tom Brady, and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is gonna be funny. But when we lost Bobby Okereke, I felt like it was imperative that we brought back a certain player, and the Colts, sure enough, they did it. Uh, EJ Speed was brought back on a multi-year deal, something that became much more of a necessity once you lost Bobby, which we all said. I believe we all said it on last week's show with Kiefer that we was banking on Okereke leaving but keeping Speed, and that's exactly what happened. What was your thoughts when you saw that? I mean, I guess it was pretty much a foregone conclusion in your mind that it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was gonna happen that Speed would be back. I know Cleveland was in on him. I think Cleveland probably was willing to match, if not pay a little more than Indy even to get him. But Speed wanted to be back. I mean, Speed's representation worked really hard with the Colts to kind of get that deal done, and they got it across the finish line, obviously. But EJ knew going into this free agency period, this was not a free agency period for him where he was feeling it out. He had a relationship in Cleveland, so obviously they gave attention to that out of respect and things like that. And I think that's probably where he would have been if it didn't work out for the Colts. But EJ wanted to be here. The Colts wanted him here, and they got it done. I mean, 2 years, 8 mil. I was expecting him to get like the Zaire deal. So I think Zaire got 310. So EJ ends up getting a little bit more technically on average. Now the salary hit wise, it's a little less, and they did bonuses a little differently. The Colts making it to where the cap hit this year is lower on just about all these deals that they're doing,
Hmm.
which is really interesting. Makes you wonder some things.
Then, so in my timeline, I know this is probably all out of order, but then the internet pretty much broke for me once the Colts decided to trade Stephon Gilmore to the Dallas Cowboys for a fifth round pick. Now, I know Destin knows, but I know a lot of you may not know. The Colts was actually considering him trading him at the deadline during the season. Once the season went down the drain, Colts was calling, engaging the market, or taking phone calls, I should say, about him because he came to play for a contender. Once it was clear that the Colts wasn't that, they wanted to do right by him. They wanted to do the right thing. They felt like, he came there, he trusted them to deliver a good football team. And when the Colts didn't do that, it was always he was going to get moved. I know a lot of people may have thought that changed this offseason, but I don't think it ever changed. I think Stephon is just a professional, so he didn't come out and say he was disgruntled or he wanted to be traded or anything. He just carried it like a true professional and was quiet behind the scenes. And the Colts did right by him, and they moved him for a fifth round pick. What was your thoughts on it, Destin?
Yeah, so I had put out, I believe it was a day prior to Gilmore getting traded, a little report that I got that the Colts have made a lot of vets available around the league. And for those who have asked me, like, what's the difference between making available and like listening? Like the Colts have been calling teams and making them aware of these guys that are available for vets and for picks and essential. So Gilmore was one of the names I was given. Ryan Kelly, Moelle Cox have also already been announced, so I can mention
Mhm.
those. I'm not really at liberty to share the entire list at this moment, but it's more than just those three, even like that are available right now for the right price. And I think some could end up being released if deals can't be made. So like the shakeup on this roster isn't done. I think Gilly getting traded. I think he wanted to play for a contender, like Shad said, but the team just also is in a position where you got almost $10 million in cap savings moving him. You're only going to pay about $2 million in dead cap essentially for him moving to Dallas this year. So it just made sense. They did him well. Other teams reached out. They even kind of let him pick a little bit. So they worked really well with Gilmore to get him to where he wanted to be, which the Colts are notorious for. They usually help their guys out when they can.
Yeah, man, I think it was fair, and it created a massive hole, the second biggest hole on his roster, aside from quarterback. I think the Colts definitely have to double dip, make a move during free agency and make a move in a draft for a cornerback. Let's talk about another move that was made. I believe it was the next move was Ashton. Was it Ashton Doolin?
Well, we're skipping over
Oh, we're
some.
skipping Samson. We're
So,
skipping Samson. Yeah.
so that's the prized signing so far.
Yeah, I was trying to get them in chronological order, but I forgot Doolin was earlier this morning.
Yes.
Samson was yesterday, and we had one that just came in a couple of hours, but maybe about 2 hours ago. But let's talk about Samson. Are you familiar with Sam? I know you are, but I'm just asking the general question.
I'm familiar with Sosa.
What's your thoughts on Sosa, man?
I like his game, man. I mean, he's always been a little explosive. You can see it. He's done a little bit. He's done a lot of things in his time in the NFL. I remember in that year with the Rams, he even kind of played stand-up linebacker at times,
Yeah.
while as well as rushing the passer. In his stint with the Niners, he's been pretty much a pass rusher this past year, notching up 5.5 sacks, over 40 pressures. And off the line of scrimmage, he just pops. I think that's something that we just didn't see on this team this last year. And the other point of it is like he just doesn't give up on any side of it. Like he's a dominant run stopper when he needs to be as well. So a lot of people have been questioning their thoughts on, is this a upgrade from Yannick? I think it just depends on how you look at it. I think they're different. He's going to slide into this Leo spot. I think he's more explosive than Yannick was. I think he has a little bit more to his tool belt than Yannick does. And I think that element that he's not a liability in the run game to where you can play him all 3 downs is probably what stood out to the Colts and why they went this route and why Yannick is most likely going to be somewhere else, unless Yannick's willing to be some rotational pieces and kind of move all these guys in and out. Because I think they're going to be willing to do that with Samson, Dio, and Quiddy. I think that the 2 starters may be listed as Quiddy and Samson, but I do honestly think they're going to rotate them. And I tweeted this out, but I'm super excited for third down pass situations where you see Quiddy, Dio, Buckner, Samson. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. Samson's like I tweeted today, he's like a bat out of hell. Bull in the china closet. He comes screaming off the edge, man. You can see it, that initial get off. He's a guy that plays really hard. He's pretty good against the run. I won't say great, but I think he's really, really good against the run. And a solid pass rusher. He's a guy that plays extremely fast and hard, but he's always under control, and he strings together moves like no other. You see him pressure the outside shoulder, spin back to the inside, make a play, give a sidestep to the inside, swipe a guy, go around the edge, bend, dip his shoulder. He has a ton of moves, and he's always constantly moving toward the quarterback when he does those moves. That's what I like most about him. A lot of pass rushers, they have moves, but they're stationary moves. They're not moving toward the quarterback. They're not closing any ground on the quarterback when they're making these moves. So they're kind of irrelevant, But Samson is pretty different. And I think in a larger role, you can see the uptick in production. I think PFF had him at 4.5 sacks, but he had 43 total quarterback pressures and I believe around 13 or 14 QB hits. The guy was a high effort, high energy, great character guy, and I think he's going to fit in really good in this locker room.
I agree. And I mean, everyone that you kind of see in that San Francisco area has talked about how like they are going to miss that guy. Coach Ed, who helps train Quiddy Pay, helps train Dio, also has worked with Samson. He has glowing reports of the work that Samson has done as well. So, I mean, this was an unexpected one. I had heard early on that Samson in Houston, that there was a lot of interest there. So I'm really interested to see like what sold it for him coming here over there. I know he got 11 mil in year one, 9 mil as a signing bonus, and that's pretty hefty signing bonus that the Colts don't usually give out. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that was what got it across the finish line. I haven't been able to get that answer yet, but I know Houston was interested.
Yeah. Matt Ryan was cut. I mean, it's no need to even spend a lot of time and energy on that. We all knew that was coming, and it figured it had to be before the 17th, and it was.
They
Who?
were just praying that man would retire. They were just praying that time with his family, he was going to get all sentimental and just retire. He still very well might do that, but he said to himself, "Oh, I should probably take some guaranteed money with me."
Yep, that was one of those addition by subtraction moves, and our biggest addition by subtraction move of the offseason so far. Brandon Faison getting signed on day one of free agency. He's gone. I
Chris
know a lot
Chris
of
Chris saw Gus Bradley play people over Isaiah Rodgers last year. Said, "No, they're out of here." Brandon Faison, sorry, bro. Isaiah's got to play. And then he was thinking to himself, Stephon is still here. And that man didn't play with Isaiah. He couldn't allow it. He couldn't allow it. So Stephon's in Dallas now.
I imagine that conversation went like this. Chris Ballard called Vegas and said, "I did you guys a favor last year. You still owe me one. I want you to sign Faison back." And Vegas signed him. So Chris
They're
Ballard
ping
got him
pong.
out of
They're
here.
just playing ping pong right now. Just
Yeah.
Faison back and forth.
So Faison will be here next year on a 1-year, $5 million deal. Just get ready for it. Just bracing yourself for it. Let's talk about Ashton Dulin, man. Ashton Dulin back on a 1-year, 2-year. Is it one or 2 years? I didn't see it. Oh, it's 2 years. It's a
I
2-year,
believe it's 2 year.
$7.2 million.
So it's
That
2 year, 9 total with incentives.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
9 total with incentives. I believe the base for it though is 7.2 with a 3.6 AAV. But he was a piece that had to be back, as far as what he can do for you special teams wise and be a pretty good wide receiver like 5. You don't want Ashton Dulin to be any higher than that on your depth chart as a wide receiver. But what he brings to your team for special teams is so valuable. And we saw the Colts lose a valuable special teams piece last year in George Odom. And the guy went on to have an all-pro season with the 49ers just now. And the Colts didn't want to repeat that. So they made sure they locked Ashton Dulin down for a couple of years.
Yeah, I said it earlier. Ashton Dulin is the best gunner on this team. So to get him back in that element was a big win no matter what. I know people don't look at him. They see the receiver and they're like, oh, does this mean Paris is gone? We'll talk about that in a second. But getting Ashton back and it's not a really major cap hits. They got a really solid contract there. It just made sense. So I like it. And Ashton Dulin's one of the better run blockers in this receiver group. So people don't think that matters, but it does.
Yeah, and a couple hours ago, the Colts, to close out the free agents transactions that's happened so far, the Colts added defensive tackle from the Cleveland Browns, Taven Bryan, on a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. I haven't seen Taven Bryan in the NFL, so it would be irresponsible for me to speak on him. I remember him coming out of the draft, though. I do remember him as a prospect. I just don't know what he's been doing the last couple of years out there in Cleveland. I know Cleveland has had one of the worst run defenses the past couple of years or so, and for Taven to be a part of that as defensive tackle, I can just imagine this as a Ballard betting on an athlete that was a first-round guy, an elite athlete, and a long, physical guy that's probably has more pass rush upside than run defense style. That's what my naked eye is telling me. Maybe a little bit more, have a little more insight on him.
Yeah, so I think you undersold it. He can't be on the field during run situations.
So he's worse than what I just said.
No, only in the run situations. Side of it.
Right.
He is definitely an above average pass defender from the interior. Really, really, really good center strength, which makes you it's strange that he's so bad in the run game. But Like, I don't know if it's an instincts thing, but like he just gets all types of confused in the run game. So he's probably going to be a rotational piece that's going to be used during pass situations. But I mean, it's a solid piece to add. I mean, they're focusing in on that pass element of it. They add a pass rusher in Samson. They go ahead and add a pass rusher in the interior as well. So I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, it's a 1-year deal that doesn't really affect much, where it's going to be camp battles for a lot of these guys.
Let me ask you a question. Will Paris Campbell be a Colt by our next show?
I think Paris Campbell will have signed somewhere by the next show. I don't think it's going to be here. I really think it's going to be Carolina, man.
I tweeted that maybe like a week ago. I don't know if it's a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, but I said that the interest was heavy, and me and you talked about it ad nauseum behind the scenes about just the interest that Carolina has with Paris Campbell, man. And now that they lost DJ Moore in that trade, it just almost seems like it's just destined for it to happen. But who knows, man? I mean, the Colts may make a move and may get aggressive. Ballard may be willing to go behind, the hard line that he typically draws for these guys, because he normally puts a line in the sand and he's not willing to go above it to bring a guy back. But I don't know. Maybe this may be a little different. Let me ask you another question before we get out of here, because I see we're getting low on time. Give me 2 guys that you want the Colts to bring in. Just 2. Anybody in free agency. Well, within reason, of course.
If we would have talked a little before the show, I would have said Isaiah Oliver. Rest in peace, that dream. Was the corner on the market I wanted. But Richie James Jr. from New York, he's the slot guy that I've wanted to add. I see a lot of upside there. I talked a little bit about it on Locked On Colts with Zach last week. I think Ricky James has some untapped potential that you can kind of get out of him. And I'd love to see him in this offense as at least depth slot work. So add him as well as signing another or drafting a guy. And the pipe dream is going to be Rock Ya-Sin coming back. I don't see it happening, but 2 Colts have tweeted at him today. Isaiah Rodgers tweeted at him. He got a response from Rock. And just minutes ago, while we've been recording, EJ Speed tweeted at him. Tweeted at Rock.
Oh, wow.
So okay. the guys want Rock back as well. I think Rock was starting to show it last year in Vegas. He was also going on to it with the Colts the year prior. I think Rock could be a great corner that is still in the age realm that it could work. And Chris Ballard loves that man like a son. So I'm going to have some hope that it can happen. I'm just really curious of how Rock feels about being traded and if he would come back just a year later. It'd be crazy if Rock comes back, Yannick's out, and it's like that trade never happened.
Right. It's like it's just Men in Black device it. Like, 2 guys I'm going to go with. One is a guy that I've wanted from the start of free agency. That's guard Isaac Samalo. He's still available. Just saying.
What do you think
he gets? Much sense. Huh?
What do you think he gets?
I think it's going to be a bit pricey, which is why I never thought it was going to happen. I figured. But with the market slowly dying down now, we may be able to see maybe Bargain Bin Ballard could swoop in there. Shane Steichen reaches out.
Just make me post the meme again, guys. Just make me.
Hey man, it has to happen. I'm going Samalo, and my other guy, I'm gonna go Byron Jones. Byron Jones is a free agent cornerback, great boundary corner guy.
So is he not retiring?
I haven't heard official yet.
So, I mean, he just had that comment that one time. I mean, I agree with you. Like, I've thought about him too. I just keep going back to that comment, but there's been no official report from anyone that he's retired. So
that's what I'm saying. I did see I believe it was it a tweet?
I think it was a comment on Instagram.
Yeah, about that. But until he ain't, I don't need another Vontae Davis situation. I don't need that. So I need him to take time, get his mind right. I don't believe he signed yet though with anyone. So technically he's a free agent.
He is available, and he has not filed paperwork.
And another guy I want to mention really quickly, because I see people giving him a bad rap because of how he played in Jacksonville. Jacksonville wasn't the defensive system for him, but I believe Shaquille Griffin can be productive in that Gus Bradley system. Too. That's what I'm saying. And I know he just had a bad year in Jacksonville. You won't hear me defend him in that aspect. He played bad. But that wasn't the system that he has been productive and good and the most familiar with. I think with Gus Bradley, you'll see the best Shaquille Griffin that you saw in a long time. I think he can still be a productive player in this scheme. And I only picked those two. Well, I picked those two cornerbacks because Destin took Rock, so I wasn't gonna just say Rocketson. Like that would probably be my first choice because I believe Rocketson was developing into a great player. His last year here, and he had a good year with Vegas. I mean, he didn't finish the season. I believe he was hurt for a couple of games last year, but I think he's right where he belongs with as far as his development coming into about. I believe this is be his 5th year. I think he's right where he should be. I know he had a rough start, you guys, so don't kill him, but he's a much better player now than he was at the beginning of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I saw the stats Max saying Zach, who's our colleague over here at Sports Illustrated, thinks that it's likely that Griffin comes. I mean, I know the Colts were in on Griffin the first time, so I know it's
Yeah.
a possibility. But I also know we got to get out of here. But everybody, thanks so much. This will be posted obviously for tomorrow for people to look at as well. But make sure to tell your friends to check out Jalen Wayne's interview from the first part of this episode, because I mean that guy's a special kid, man.
Yeah.
Really like
Yeah.
him as a prospect, but even better a person.
Yeah, man, he was a lot of fun. I want to thank Jalen Wayne again for pulling up, man. And hopefully we see you guys next week and we could get off Paris watch. I'm gonna be watching for Paris, man. That's what I'm doing the next couple of days. And if we lose Paris, we need to find a slot receiver. So that's gonna become a big need on my board. So once again, thank y'all for coming out, man. We will see you guys next